What if it was actually possible to reinvent yourself? I'm going to treat myself as if I was a client. I invite you to follow along and see how I do. Anybody, perimenopause or menopause, this is probably one of the most important things that you can do. That's something you want to look back on and go, wow, my life is different. What if it was actually possible to reinvent yourself in 100 days? I'm going to find out if that's possible. I think it's doable. I'm not saying I'm going to reach my absolute goal in 100 days because I have lots of different goals and it's really about maintaining a lifestyle. That's really what I want. But I'm also a person who's very motivated by a particular date, a particular number, and I know what works for me. And if that's something that works for you, I invite you to follow along and see how I do. I'm going to see what I can do in 100 days. I'm going to treat myself as if I was a client. And I'm going to take myself through the steps of what I would do to find out where I am, what has held me back, and what I need to do in order to make the habit changes that's going to stick. So what's really going to happen in 100 days? Yes, I am hoping that there may be some weight loss or some fat loss, or maybe I'll get a little stronger, or I'll just have more control. But what's really going to happen in the 100 days is I'm going to develop some habits that are going to make those changes possible. And the habits is what's actually going to change my life. And this is what I stress for a lot of my clients who come to me because they want to make change. And they feel like if I do these things, then I'm going to be fit, then I'm going to be healthy, then I'm going to be happy. And I always ask them to flip that script around and say, no, I am a healthy person. I am a fit person. That is who I am. And when I think that way and I feel that way, I start making decisions that a healthy and fit person would do. So that is the first thing I have to do is I have to figure out what that block has been for me for the last, I'd say, a year and a half since my perimenopause symptoms have really kicked in, because I'm doing the exact same thing that I was doing almost 5 years ago when I first started teaching virtual classes. And it was really interesting because I was looking back over some of the videos and I can see the physical difference. Not only the aged 5 years, but I can also see the physical difference in my body composition. And I do feel like I haven't been changing that much over the last 5 years. But of course, as hormones change, as I get older, there's been a couple of ailments that has slowed me down a little bit, but I need to figure out where has the change happened? Because when we figure that out and I start making the decisions based that I am still that fit, healthy person, that's when I'm going to figure out what changes I have to make. So if I was a client, the first thing I would do is think about what are the things that bug me the most. I would want to think about what my main goal is. Now for me, my main goal is I have a closet full of clothes and about half of it no longer fits. So I want to fit into my clothes. I am not interested in buying new clothes. Not at this time. That might be something that I'll evaluate later on, but first things first. So fitting into the clothes that I have is definitely one of my goals. Okay, so the second thing that's really important to me is I want to feel better in my skin. I've noticed in the last year and a half that I'm having more breakouts, like 51-year-old getting pimples. Come on already. But I feel like getting little cold sores here and there, just a little bit drier skin. I know this is really normal for the hormonal changes through perimenopause and menopause, but I'm going to use that as motivation to give me that little extra oomph to make sure I'm getting it done, that I'm doing what it takes to really nourish my skin from the inside out. So that is one of the things I would really like to see a change in. Finally, and I don't like to focus on weight too much, but it is important to an extent. I don't ever want to rely on that scale for my happiness. And I know a lot of us do that. How many times have you woke up and you actually feel better and you've stood on the scale and it hasn't changed, or worse, it's gone up, and then all of a sudden you feel like crap? You're allowing that to dictate your level of happiness and to show your level of progress, which it does not do, because I can give you at least 10 reasons off the top of my head why that scale would change a number that has absolutely nothing to do with body fat. Okay, so keep that in mind. That being said, I did stand on the scale and it was a little bit more than I wanted, and I'm not afraid to say I am 5'2.5", and right now I'm sitting at 167.5. I know a lot of that is muscle. I am stronger than I have ever been. I have more muscle, but that's just a little bit more than I want. I am usually very happy at around the 140, 145. It feels really good. I can still enjoy life. I've been a lot lighter than that, and it hasn't been a lifestyle that I have enjoyed. And I am at a point in my life where I am going to darn well enjoy my life. So what I would be looking at is probably losing 15 to 20 pounds. Another reason that this would be really important for me is because I really enjoy backpacking, but I have to put 30 pounds usually on my back. So if I have an extra 15 to 20 pounds on my body and then I'm putting on a 30-pound backpack, you can imagine imagine that the weight and the pressure on my knees and my ankles, my 51-year-old knees and ankles, can get quite challenging. So I really want to make sure that if I can get a little bit extra weight off there, that will help with the backpacking as well, with just the pressure on my joints. So I will be looking at that. But again, that's not my be all end all. I'm not going to focus on that. And I'm not even going to really focus on these goals. What I wanted to write this down was to see how it feels. And I think that's really important, to really sit back, visualize, how would that feel? How would I feel if I was fitting into my clothes? How would I feel if my skin just looked healthier and a little bit more supple and younger? How would I feel with 15 pounds off? How would my feet feel? How would my ankles feel when I put that backpack on? How would that feel? And if that makes you feel really good, that's what we need to hold on to, because that's going to take us to our next step. Because these are just our long-term goals. These are not things that are in our control. What my goals are technically going to be for the next 100 days is going to be my habits. That's what I'm going to work towards. That's what I'm going to track. The goal is just the end result, but I can't control that. What I can control is what I do day to day. So what I recommend to my clients is to pick a couple of broader categories and then maybe one or two little things within that we're going to focus on, because we don't want to go too crazy. If you start listing like, I'm going to revamp my entire life and I'm going to change 20 different things, that's not sustainable, and you're going to get so exhausted and you're going to get frustrated with yourself. And then when you can't do them all, it causes you to feel like you're failing. And then we just want to give up and it gets very frustrating. So that's not what we're doing. We're not trying to frustrate ourselves. We want to create some things that's going to make us feel successful, because that is going to help us keep pushing forward. We're going to want to keep doing it because, hey, this is working and this feels really good and I'm able to achieve that. Once you have certain ones down pat, then we build on that. So what we have to do now, based on these goals, we need to start thinking about our habits, because that is what we can focus on. That's what we can actually do on a daily basis. We can make those changes. So I want you to start a list. And this is a brainstorm. So if anybody knows about brainstorming, you know that you don't overthink it. We don't say, no, that doesn't work because of whatever. You're just going to start writing things down. Everything that you can possibly think of that you've ever been told or that you've ever done or that's ever worked for you, don't judge it right now. Some of these are absolutely ridiculous and I'm never going to do. Some are quite doable and that certainly wouldn't hurt. I have this list of all the possible things in this world, and I'm going to pick just a few categories to really focus on that I know is not going to drastically alter my day-to-day life, because that's not going to work either. If you're doing something and you have to overhaul your entire life in order to make this happen, it's not sustainable. It's going to be great for a little while when you're excited and motivated because it's super sexy because you're working on it so hard, but that's not sustainable for the long run. We are trying to really incorporate things here that you can start small, build on, and then yes, maybe in 6 months or a year time, you're going to look back and go, oh, my goodness, my life has drastically changed from what I was 6 months ago. You don't want to be noticing that at the time. That's something you want to look back on and go, wow, my life is different. Look at how much I've improved my life. Look at how amazing it is. But if you come right out of the gate and try to overhaul your whole life, you're going to get injured, you're going to get bored, you're going to get tired of it, and you're going to quit. And I don't want that for you. So when we start small and we fit little daily habits into our life and then keep building on those, that's when we see true sustainable change. So I want you to think about that. Then after you figured out 3 or 4 categories, then we're going to move on to the next step. So for me personally, and anybody, perimenopause or menopause, this is probably one of the most important things that you can do when it comes to taking care of your body, and for fat loss and weight loss, or what they lovingly call that menopause middle, all of the body composition, it just changes around that midsection. And that is very much due to hormones, particularly cortisol. We need to figure out our sleep. And you're like, but Deb, I wake up at 2:00 every single morning. Yes. And there are things that we can do. And that may be good for another video, actually, because that would be a whole video in itself. Things that we can do to help us sleep better through perimenopause and menopause with that nasty 2 a.m. wake up call. But a couple of just overview things that I can start right away. So better sleep is the thing I want to work on, but the smaller daily habits that I can do is I can go to bed at a set time. So I need to count backwards because I get up very early. So I need to count backwards and go, I need to be in bed by this time in order to feel my best. And personally, for me, and I know it is for a lot of people, I need to keep my phone out of my room. If the phone is not in my room, then I do not feel the need to look at it. One thing I do is I have an iPad that has no social media on it. It just has some soundtracks, progressive relaxation, some music that I listen to, just in case I do wake up in the middle of the night and my brain decides that it's time to start working. I will put that on, but I make sure there's nothing there that is going to cause me to start scrolling. So that's my two habits I'm going to focus on right there. The next one, and this is particularly helpful for my skin and fitting in my clothes, and probably all three actually, even some of the weight loss, is to drink more water. And we've all heard this. If somebody came to me and said, Deb, what is the one piece of advice? If there was only one thing that I can do to make significant change in how I feel, what is that? It would be water. Drinking more water. It's flushing out toxins. It's getting rid of that bloat, that layer of fluid that's under the skin after the Christmas holidays. This is January 2nd, so still dealing with a little bit with that. So drinking water and increasing in small increments. I want to get to around 3 liters of water a day. That really makes me feel good, but I haven't been there. So I want to start slowly and maybe just adding a little bit each day until I'm there, hopefully by the end of the week. So water will definitely be my next one. So that 3 liters of water is my daily habit. Big one for me because I love food. I love really healthy food, but I love the not so healthy food as well. Potato chips are my nemesis. Even a little bit of sugar here and there. I had my birthday over the Christmas holidays. There was cake. It was interesting. It was fun, but it was interesting. But it's time for that to be gone. It's all gone now, thank heavens. So I will be cutting out the junk food. Definitely, I will be cutting out sugar. We have a challenge in my group called the Great Sugar Breakup. We are starting that on the 6th of January. So instead of me just helping everyone succeed in that, I am going to be participating, practicing what I preach, and doing this with everyone in my group. So that's definitely going to be a no sugar. And that's really the processed sugar. But the other thing that I'm really going to be careful of, I am going to try my best to cut out a lot of those really starchy carbohydrates. So like your rice, your pastas, cereals, breads, anything like that. A lot of them I don't eat generally, but I will try my best to make sure all of that is cut out. I'm going to say after 1 p.m. So if I need something for energy, it's a little at breakfast, a little at lunch. I am not a no carb person. I think carbohydrates are very important. That's my opinion. I know that may be different than other people's opinions, but I think there's a time and place for everything. And again, I really talk about sustainability. And a lot of times I don't feel that no carbohydrates for me is sustainable. So I am not going to do that, but I can certainly change up the timing and I can focus a little bit more after 1 p.m. or in the evenings on protein and produce. So I can definitely do that. That's a thing. I'm not saying I'm never going to eat carbohydrates. Then I don't feel that deprivation. The final thing that I'm going to do, but this is not going to be so much of a daily because I already exercise 4 to 5 days a week because I teach my classes, but I have been teaching 4 to 5 classes a week for the last 5 years. So I'm thinking just a few days a week, I may just add 15 to 20 minutes of movement. So that might be walking on my treadmill, maybe going out for a walk. I do enjoy hiking. So that is definitely something that is on my radar that maybe I can start doing some regular weekend hikes. And if you're ever interested, you can pop over to my YouTube channel for hiking, which is called Hike with Deb. It's brand spanking new. So there's not a whole lot on there yet, but that's to come, especially as the weather gets warmer. So I'm going to look at just a little bit of extra movement. This may not happen every day depending on my schedule, but if I can squeeze in 15 to 20 extra minutes a day, I think that would be just enough to give me a little metabolism boost that will help. So these are my things that I'm going to be working on. And I invite you to either do these with me or come up with your own. Instead of that huge brainstorming list that you did, what are some of the things that you feel that you could do in order to reach your goal? Okay, so that's where I am. I know that my whole life is not going to change in 100 days, but I know that 100 days of consistent habits can make a huge impact on how I feel, on my confidence, on my energy. And what's 100 days from now? This is January 2nd. Let's see what Google tells us.
What is 100 days from today?
My Google search is very strange, I promise you. Okay, April 12th. Ooh, I like the sound of April 12th.
Because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Not quite into summer, but we're into spring and the weather is going to be getting better. That's going to be when I'm really going to start getting out and doing some day hiking, not quite backpacking yet, but some day hiking. I really like that. And that makes me feel good. And that's what I talked about earlier, right? When we talked about how do we feel when we think about our goals, I can sit back and I can picture my April the 12th self and I can think better skin, feeling a little lighter, my clothes are starting to fit better. I like how that feels. And I'm going to hold on to that and I'm going to use that to propel this forward. That when I am trying to incorporate these tiny little things, I have my whys and I truly have them here within me. I can feel them and I can feel how good that is. And it's going to help me even on the days when I don't feel like it, know that these are just consistent habits that I'm working on here. They are little tiny daily habits that when I do them, I am going to get closer to that goal. When I don't do them, I'm not. And I want to reach that goal because that feels really good for me. And I hope that does for you too. I hope you're kind of feeling this energy and you're going, yeah, April 12th, that sounds amazing. Let's do this. Now, if you're watching this video later, just pick your 100 days or pick whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be 100 days. I'm picking 100 days because it's fun for me and I need something that's fun. That's just who I am. That's my personality. And I like to have something to strive towards. So you pick your date and let's do this together. So I'm going to share as we go along. I will share the ups and the downs. I'll share my good, my bad. I'll keep you updated and I would love for you to do the same. Let's do this together. Let's form this community of over 40 women that are just really pushing towards feeling fantastic and knowing that no matter what our age, we are able to reinvent ourselves. And if you're under 40 and you want to do this, please, you're welcome to. You don't have to be over 40 to do this. I've been 30 and maybe you can learn a little from this so that when you are 40 and 45 and you start to see some of these perimenopause symptoms creeping in, you'll be like, I remember Deb's videos. Please follow along. I'll keep posting. And as I create new videos and bring you updates and progress reports, I will make sure that I come back to these videos and add in the links so that you can follow along. And this could be a really cool series of our 100-day reinvention. And my cheeks hurt because I'm smiling and I feel really good about this and I feel very excited about this. And I hope you do too. I hope you can feel my energy and I hope you want to see this as well. You're not alone. We're in this together. Comment. I love answering comments. I love answering questions. So please feel free. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it uplifting so that we can really support each other and propel ourselves forward. Until next time, I will see you soon. Love you all.